guess what? Just look. Just look who's here tonight. It's Clint. Oh, no, it's not Clint. It's BZ. Yeah, it's BZ. Oh, Clint is supposed to call in on the phone.
On the nosy.
On the nose. That's funny. I don't see him calling yet. Okay,
yeah.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag the phone thing over here, so if he calls in, I actually see it.
Okay.
And there it is.
Very good.
And because Clint couldn't be here tonight,
yes,
it's Sackhead Sean who was kind enough to say that he was going to fill in.
Howdy.
For Clint. So they're over in the Clint chair / Sackhead Sean chair is Sackhead's Sean. So it is great to see him. We have 2 hours filled with buttery chat show, Sackheads Against Tyranny stuff.
Amazing.
And before we started the show, we killed ourselves playing 2 videos. Because that's what we do. We kill ourselves playing 2 videos. Wait a minute.
Silliness.
Okay, what is buzzing?
Oh,
mic 1 is buzzing.
interesting.
Huh, that's weird. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I hear it now. I didn't hear it before.
No. Okay.
Oh, the gain's really high.
Oh, the gain is normal right there.
Really?
Anyway, I hope the buzzing doesn't kill everybody.
I hope it doesn't kill everybody.
On the first break, we'll take a peek and try to figure out why that is. Wait a minute.
That dirty cable.
No, it's not this.
No, it could just be a dirty cable.
It could.
It's the only thing you turn it down and it goes away.
There's filthy olives and there's dirty cables.
Yep. Trust me.
And
all of that's true.
This is a dirty cable.
Yeah. Nothing I can
We'll
do
figure
right
it
now.
out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so the 2 videos we were playing before we got on the air. The first one, and this is a classic.
Yeah, it's been around a while, but it's still funny as hell.
It's not a new video.
Nope.
But still, I love the hell out of this. So yeah, when we're playing this, I'm going to pot the mics down, and you can appreciate this one too. I mean, it's $1 million monster classic.
Just to set it up, it's one of those.
I need a drink.
Hold on. It's one of those bad lip readings, but it's Sarah Sanders, and she's answering the press corps at a press briefing. So the female voice you hear is her, and then the different people are different reporters. So go ahead.
Yeah. So this is still so good.
I need a drink. Okay, idiots, are you ready? I just can't stand the faces of you people. Those dead, questioning eyes. You dummies don't matter. Greedo?
What happens when I scratch a horseradish all over my face?
Now, why would you do this?
Well, definitely gonna scrape it somewhere.
Yeah, you don't matter. Mangy?
Okay, my beard itches pretty bad.
Mangy.
Is this because of my bugs?
You have literal bugs?
Uh-huh. I think it's mainly bed bugs.
Okay, you gotta go.
Wait, is this about the bugs?
Yeah, it is. Stank?
Stank.
Yeah, when is the Roswell
Eh, you really
alien-
thought to take your question? You suck.
Hey, the way you talk to me, I mean, do you need to talk so evil?
Do you need to look like a stuffed baked potato in that Walmart shirt? 'Cause you suck, lanky.
It's been a whole hour since Kristen sat on my whistle.
I did not sit on it.
Then where's my whistle?
It's a really important issue, chomp.
Yeah, what about guys like me, you know? Like our eyes are really honest, but then our brain's got a violent virus.
Could not care less. Creature?
How can I tell if my Labrador is female?
Easy, you suck. Let's see, Sasquatch Stevens.
Would you rub my feet if I tickled yours?
You're weird. Nah, nope.
Not even fun tickles?
What is that? Listen, I'm gonna punch you and I'll punch in your esophagus.
Great.
Chocolate
Great.
curl?
You know how I was part of a gang that made bed quilts?
Sure.
Okay, so this one guy, Benji Binkelman, had this horrible breast problem.
Okay, so maybe we'll just wrap that up, turd.
What I really need is a craft table, a magic wand, and someone to feed me pickles.
Okay, Jeeves,
Do you feel you prefer ice sheets or maybe like summer rain?
or I could feed you to the polar bears.
Alright.
Jana,
It's Gina.
that's what I said. Jana,
Gina.
I'm sorry.
Gina.
Yeah, I don't know. Chachi,
Chachi?
Stink Leg, Bork, Varicose Ken, Disc Jerk.
Hey, I'm crazy about you. When can I see you?
You know, never sounds like a good day.
I'm sensitive, yet dangerous, and I make nachos.
Okay, to be honest, I think that most people in the world will find you disappointing.
Why are you saying this?
Because you suck.
Wait a minute. Roast beef for sale, marriages for the lemonade. It's all we will get.
I'll bury you people.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
I'm sorry. That's just good stuff.
Oh, it's awesome.
Okay, when we were doing that though, we came across the truth in journalism. Not like we're journalists or anything.
Oh Lord.
Okay, but truth in talking to people about stuff before we get here.
Yes.
So Sean found this video of, I don't know if you guys know what the Roomba is. It's this round thing that scurries around your hard floor. I think it's got to be a hardwood floor. It can't do it on carpets,
it does
right?
rugs and hardwood.
Oh, it does carpets too?
Yeah, you're old. Most people know what a Roomba is.
Okay. A Roomba?
Shut up.
So anyway, it's a video about, hey, what if we had a Roomba, but we added a feature to it? And this is the feature.
Every time it slams into something, it makes noises. And, and here it is.
You know what? It'd be helpful if I turned the video volume on because Facebook. The other one was from YouTube. This is from Facebook. So okay, here we go. The Roomba. This Roomba vacuum cleaner does something in particular.
Roomba cleans your house.
Every time it bumps into something, it screams.
How likely would you be to adopt this into your household?
In a horror movie.
Makes it more human, right? Makes it a little more personable.
Yeah.
You don't feel like there's a robot. What are your thoughts on it, Chelsea? When you hit your toe, maybe, on the wall or a coffee table, you don't react with kind words. You react maybe a little harshly, with some colorful language, perhaps. It's changeable options. You don't need to buy, 3 different models like with some robot companies. Now we're on the kid-friendly mode, okay? Screams are kid-friendly.
I feel like this is a good way to help kids understand empathy. And how some people in life have it worse than you.
Exactly. You know how your Roomba is really impersonal? When it bumps into stuff, it doesn't yell like a child or something. Right? Makes it a little more personable, makes it a little more human, right? Am I right? Likely would you be to, adopt one into your...
I'm a Roomba!
To your modern household.
100%.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so that's the Roomba story.
I don't know the origin of that video, but I know if you search on YouTube, the original creators have it posted. What a great idea. I would love to get that as a gift for somebody and not tell them that it has the screaming technology. And just
can you? Wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall for something like that? And the people there, it's packed in a standard Roomba box. And they pull out the paper and they unwrap it and they cut off the tape and they pull it out.
I think Christmas morning, all the kids are around.
Oh, that's better yet, where you got Grandma in the room, okay? Grandma's there and you got a Roomba and all of a sudden this thing...
Or you buy it for Grandma, actually. Help her out around the house.
Here, Grandma, this is my
out.
entertaining Roomba. Okay, still no Clint. Now, Clint said that he was going to call in the earlier part of the show. And... excuse me while I rub my eyes, but I was laughing so hard at that last bit that my eyes were starting to tear up a little bit.
So let's be honest, a couple things. Right now, legitimately. Sackhead Clint is not on this coast. I will not say where he is or what he's doing.
I already said where he was.
Okay.
In social media.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, he's not here, and there's a time zone to deal with.
I said he was in a mud pit in Maryland.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So there is a time zone to deal with. So maybe, just maybe, at 1 o'clock in the morning, he's going to call in thinking that was the appropriate time zone.
Oh,
I'm just
right.
saying. I know Sackhead Clint, and
or what he'll do is he'll call at 11 p.m. our time at 11 p.m. his time, thinking that it's 8 o'clock because he got things turned around.
Or he'll have the old phone number, and he'll be calling the old phone number.
Oh, the Skype number.
The old,
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No, I know. All these possibilities with Clint, so we'll stand by and see what happens. How are you, sir?
I am great. It's been a long time since you've been on the radio.
I have. Well, yeah.
It's been...
Well, I've done your show a few times.
No, you have. That's correct. But your schedule has just been conflicted to the point where it's just nice to see you here.
It's nice to be seen.
It's wonderful.
It's nice to be above ground, I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. Not like neither one of us have had any recent challenges these days.
What?
No, yeah.
Come on.
It's been great.
Go
I can
on.
tell. Just you wait and oh, what heights will hit. On with the show. This is shit. Hey, you want to hear an audio cut about Joe Biden?
I would love to.
He was talking at a Rotary Club. And, of course, back then he was saying the exact same thing that he's been saying now about illegal aliens. So here's, this is another reason why you gotta love the internet. You have to love the internet because it archives cool stuff like this.
That is a erstwhile democracy where they have the greatest disparity in wealth. It's one of the wealthiest countries in the hemisphere. And because of a corrupt system that exists in Mexico, there is the 1% of the population at the top, a very small middle class, and the rest is abject poverty. Folks, I voted for a fence. I voted, unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it, I voted for 700-mile fence.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
We can build a fence 40 stories high, unless it changes the dynamic in Mexico. And you will not like this, and punish American employers who knowingly
taking on the
violate
abortion
the law
debate with full-scale
when, in
attacks
fact,
on
they
pro-life
hire
supporters.
illegally.
What opened?
Unless you do those two things, all the rest is window dressing.
Coordinated
I know
by
I'm not supposed to say
right-wing
that bluntly,
extreme.
but they're the facts. They're the facts.
So
everything else we do.
So this is Joe Biden.
Circa 2002?
No, this 2006.
Yeah, 2006.
So this is just slightly before Obama, who essentially had been saying the same thing when he was senator.
Absolutely.
In Illinois, saying that, okay, I'm against illegal immigration.
When Obama was on the campaign trail the first time, or just before, maybe it was when he was still a senator, he essentially said that illegals coming into this country were not respecting the rule of law and disrespecting the people who were here legally. I might be paraphrasing slightly, but that was pre-election Obama, before it was cool to not care about our sovereignty. When it got to the point that it came time to not care about our sovereignty, then they both just flim-flammed as quick as you possibly fucking can. Immediately, obviously, now it's all about open borders, world government, blah, 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 blah. But Pelosi, she has a comment about immigration from years ago. I think
they
Chuck
all do.
Schumer.
Every one of them. Little Chucky Schumer.
That's the part, that amazes me is they are literally any way the wind blows with them. Whatever is politically expedient. Look, you have a Democratic field right now for the 2020 elections filled with people that make Joe Biden look good. I just want you to think about that for a second. You have Beto O'Rourke, who's lost a ton of steam and has just turned into the world's biggest apologizer. And he was on The View a couple weeks ago and apologized essentially for everything that he's ever done because he has a penis. Which, by the way, the ironic part about Beto O'Rourke is his wife is the one that has all the money and she's extraordinarily rich and she bankrolls all this stuff that he does. But that's neither here nor there. You have Gillibrand, who came out and essentially said that she's not doing well in the polls because America is sexist, which is funny because I thought the last candidate for president for the Democrats was a female, but maybe they don't count Hillary as a female and she's just Hillary, almost like Prince, where it's more than just, it's a persona. She's not a female, she's not a male, she's just a Hillary. So maybe that's what Gillibrand means. So I'll give you that. You have Buttigieg. You have all these people who are now out there. Look, you had Biden up in New Hampshire last week saying some lunatic liberal libtard had the microphone at the rally, was screaming and yelling about how Trump's not a legal president or a proper president because he stole the election, and she's afraid he's going to do the same thing with his buddy Vlad in 2020. This was last week, which tells you how Democratic voters really accept the findings of the Mueller report, but I digress. And Joe agrees with them. Oh, yeah, he's not a valid president, and that's the problem with this world right now, and that's where we are right now is, we have to fix that. So that's their front runner. Their front runner cannot accept the last results of the last election. Think about that.
No, that's true.
None of them can.
It's like, well, it's not like, it's not similar to, it is as if, here, let me turn this down for you if you want to go ahead and do that.
Go ahead, keep talking.
It's as if none of the Democrats have transitioned.
No, it's definitely this mic because when I hit the cough interrupt. There we go. I'll figure it out at the break.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's a cable issue. So anyway, none of the Democrats have transitioned from November 8th of 2016 over to November 9th of 2016. They're still stuck on November 8th. And honest to God, folks listening to me live, folks in podcast, the people in chat over there. Oh, God.
SHRmedia.com. Make sure you check out the chat room.
Can you believe it? I'm going to have to pull this over here so that I can say this. We got Mike in chat. We got Iggy Mom in chat. We got Whiskey Dale in chat. We got Dave Milner in chat. We got Kaiser in chat. We got Mamba in chat. We got one viewer in chat.
You know what I just did?
What did you just did? Did you just hit your nose with the mic?
No, I just tried to read your screen, and it's right in front of me.
That's why we
But
got a
you
second
turn
screen.
that way, so I turn that way.
Why wouldn't you? Thanks.
It's been a while since I've done radio, folks.
It's sympathetic motions. That's all it is.
Holy batshit, man.
So thanks to that. You were talking about women, sex, etc. I found this.
Wait, no. Let's rephrase that. I was talking about Gillibrand's comment about sexism.
Okay, all right.
Before that clip gets played back years from now.
No,
You were talking about women. You were talking about sex. No,
And
BZ.
sex- and
Way to
sex
make
with
me look
women.
like a fucking douchebag, BZ. Gosh.
And you were talking about sex with women. I found this article. Hey, it's better than sex with termites, okay? Don't think I don't have an article about that in here, too. I'll get to it. Sex with mites. I can see the quizzical look on your face right now.
It's
Here's
not quizzical. I'm literally saying hi to my mother in chat room as we're having this conversation.
Okay.
So,
hi, Mom.
let's
Welcome.
make it more awkward.
I met your mom. I
Yeah.
gave her a big hug.
Yes.
Your mom is great people.
My mom is great people. Crazy as a shithouse rat. Love her to death.
Okay, I still love your mom and gave her a big old hug. Here's an article from the New York Post.
I love her too.
It says Kamala Harris wants to fine companies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That pay men more than women. And at first blush, you might think to yourself, I guess overall that kind of sounds okay, except that through all 58 states, just ask Obama, through all 58 states, there are state laws saying that with regard to jobs, especially government jobs, in classifications, and certainly in California, you cannot discriminate in terms of sex between what you pay a man and a woman.
Well, but let's go back to Fruit of the Poisonous Tree a little bit here. Let's run this back even further. First of all, in California, they're trying to push a bill that says if you are a corporate, if you're an LLC and you have a board, you have to have females on
Yes,
it that's equal. They want to pass that bill. It doesn't matter what qualifications are. You must have a female. Let's push that aside. Let's go back further. The science behind those comments, the facts, the statistics that have come out from the Labor Board and many other places have proven that as totally debunked, that men do not get paid more than women per job. On average, they make more, but it is also has to do with the fact that women aren't taking the jobs that require certain things, or there's less of them in the workforce on that level. Now, I'm not saying, and it's by choice.
Or fewer hours.
They take a job with fewer hours. So while they may get paid for the job hourly side by side, if one's working 40 hours and the other one's working 50 and they're paying hourly, yes, the person working 50, male or female, is going to make more. Statistically, has proven through science. I know the Dems hate that right now. Through science,
no, stop
that.
that.
If you have person A and you have person B, despite what genes they have, what chromosomes they have, essentially has shown that if there isn't government regulation, none of that matters. That if this person gets paid this amount for this job, this person's going to get paid this amount for this job. And that the so-called wage disparity is based on choices being made by women in the workforce and males in the workforce. And that's not to say that a woman couldn't do any of the jobs. I already know what it is.
Oh, okay.
I just can't fix it right this second.
Okay, all right.
It's not to say that women can't or won't do those jobs. It's just right now they choose not to.
Wait a minute. I have a great suggestion.
Yes.
What if you have a board member who goes into the board room that day?
Yep.
He feels like a she.
Well, and that I've seen that,
and maybe wearing some lipstick
I have
and a nice skirt.
Well, and here's the other thing too.
That's how he identifies that. Maybe he identifies that way
Right.
only in the boardroom
Right.
to comply with that rule.
But
that'd be
that
fine.
conversation's already been made, and you start talking as, all right, well, if I'm a senior so and so at this company and I'm trying to get into the board or get hired to the board or however you get appointed, then why don't I just turn around and say, no, I identify as a female. I'm in California.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even need to provide paperwork. I just have to say I'm a female.
No.
And based on everything the Dems, which, by the way, for the female listeners, all 5 of them,
6. Your mom's here.
yes, I know. I actually included her in the 5.
Okay.
Normally
All right.
I say 4.
Okay.
My biggest problem with this sort of thinking is when it does come to women's rights, because you're now identifying this male as a woman. Well, what about in sporting events or even in the boardroom? If you're passing in California, if they pass this law that each board has to have a female member, if that law passes, which California is a supermajority, it might as well already be through.
I'm saying if it hasn't already.
Yeah. So if they pass that rule,
let me find out.
and then you turn around and now with all the equality stuff that's going on, well, this, you can identify as whatever you want. What does that say to women's right? You just had a rule get put in that says you have to be a woman to do this, and then you have a rule that's been standing that says, but if you're a dude and you think you're a girl, you can step into that too. And I'm not talking about post surgery or anything like that. Just identification alone.
Sure. Oh, by the way, it is a law. Just looked at it.
It is a law now.
It says the new law requires that California-based companies appoint at least one woman to their board of directors by 2019, this year, and at least 3 by 2021, depending upon the size of the firm. The bill also allows California Secretary of State to fine violators $100,000 for the first offense. That's the state of California. Now roll with me on this. I'm going somewhere, and it's great fun. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris is unveiling a pay inequality proposal that aims to close the gender pay gap by holding corporations accountable when men are paid more than women. Now, let's say, Sean, you're a journalist. Let's say you have information that indicates that bill is moving that direction. Now, as a journalist, well, let's say you're a journalist back from the 70s when you actually wanted to look into both sides of the equation. Wouldn't you now, armed with the tools like the internet, do exactly what I just did before I got here on the show and find this article, which says, this is from legalinsurrection.com, and this happens to be, I happen to know it's a website by attorneys who find things out regarding to matters of law.
Right.
Legalinsurrection.com. Now it's Harris wants equal pay for women, wait for it, but pays men more in her office and campaign.
Yes.
So, now, if you were a journalist, wouldn't you want to cover both sides? And the answer today is
not.
absolutely
And I'll
not.
tell you right now, if Kamala Harris came out right now and was broached with this in a public event, she'd say, Well, yeah, because right now I have to play ball, but when I get this rule passed, I won't have to.
There will always be I call that the YABBUT. Yabbit.
But it's amazing that this
It's the
administration,
Yabbit.
the Trump administration has more senior female advisors than any previous administration before it.
That's right.
Let me ask you a question.
Including Obama and both Bushes together.
And I always bring this up whenever there's a question about equality, rights, whatever. And I always say this, look, I'm one of those people, say we're all on a plane right now. We get stuffed onto a plane, 30,000 feet in the air, no pilots. No pilots whatsoever. You can have two sets of rules. The first set of rule is the two most qualified people, i.e. pilots, can land the plane, or you can have one qualified pilot and then you have to have a female. Well, what if there's no female pilots on board? Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, that's immaterial.
Or vice versa. You have to have a male pilot. Okay, well, what if we only have a plane full of plumbers? Doesn't matter. He's going to land the plane as well because we need to have one of each. Same thing with, you can say, same thing with doctors. Your
question is, does it solve a problem?
No.
What problem?
No.
The logical question that everybody should be asking is, laws should be in place to solve a problem that is extant and has been there for a while.
Yep.
So what problem does this solve other than, air quotes, equality because?
Well, and so it's really funny, too, is I had a conversation about this a couple weeks ago with somebody, and they brought up doctors. Well, guys don't even like going to a female doctor. Like, they don't trust them. And I said, it's not about that. I'll tell you right now, it's not about that. Guys don't like going to female doctors because we're not comfortable discussing our bodies with a female that we don't know. The vast majority of men find that to be women.
God, you big damn sexist.
I know women
Jesus.
are much more understanding of the fact of like, all right, this is a doctor. I am explaining to him what I need, and he is a professional. Guys, anyone in the chat room can shit on me all you want. Guys are all the same way right now. I will tell you this. We are like, oh God, well, what if she sees me naked? That's going to be so awkward. And that's where they stop. And that was the point of my conversation was, yeah, but that has nothing to do with more female doctors or males not trusting females. Look, I've worked with plenty of females in my field. I can tell you that I've worked with a litany of them that are far better at it than I will ever be. And I've also worked with the opposite. But I've also worked with that with males as well. I know plenty of males in my field who are far better than I will ever be. And I know plenty of males who are just as horrible. It comes down to the individual. And when you start speaking about the individual, then you are no longer speaking about women's rights, or you're no longer speaking about males, or whatever. And I will tell you, in this day and age, by and large, this isn't the 60s or the 50s. Things have changed. By and large, almost anybody worth their weight in business, private sector, public sector, whatever, when you have two candidates sitting in front of you, you're going to pick the one that will actually be more successful for that position. There are some exceptions to that rules, like, oh yeah, well, it's my friend's brother and he's applying and I'm going to hire him. Mostly things that happen in a state and municipal level, more so in private business. But by and large, they're going to pick the more qualified candidate. And the ones they say no to, more often than not, are just because they aren't as qualified or they didn't interview as well as that other person. Does that mean that it doesn't happen, that people don't get promoted because of X, Y, and Z and this? Yeah, more often than not, people get promoted that has nothing to do with their qualifications. It has to do with a checkbox that needs to be filled.
Yes.
Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, and the checkbox will be filled. And again, I go back to the original question. Have you solved a problem? Bills should be for solving problems. Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to ask the world's worst question.
Okay.
and it is. And I want an answer from you, and I want an answer from people in chat and people listening.
For the record, no matter what I'm going to, for whatever thing I'm trying to purchase or have accomplished, I want the most qualified person. And if that means that it's a female with 5 arms and purple hair, then so be it. It's going to be a female with 5 arms and purple hair. As long as my truck's fixed, or as long as my heart's fixed, or whatever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
it solves
good.
a problem. It should be about problem solving, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, when we come back, I'm also going to throw the lines open so that you guys can weigh in on the world's worst question, because it either has a yes or a no answer with all sorts of specifics, and you just solved that doggone problem. Oh, I know what you did. Okay, so folks, at the end of the break, I'm going to throw the phone open. Call 209. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. There we go. 209-284-3210. 209-284-3210, and I'm going to put it in the chat room, and I want you guys to call in and weigh in on this question.
Issue.
Yeah, it was. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I'm going to put the number in the chat room. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads radio show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
SHAT.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yep. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. Insidious. You know, we talked about this for, for the last 3 years. And finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. Sing, sing, a jaunty tune. Jaunty, jaunty, jaunty tune. I like that tune.
That's a great, happy tune.
Okay, so
hey, before you ask the question,
okay,
I just want to say, just in the Midwest right now, Missouri, Kansas, Northeast Kansas, Missouri, they're actually getting pelted with tornadoes, hail.
Wow.
Heavy rain. Apparently, there's a dam that broke. I don't know how major
Dan
it
broke?
was. Yeah.
Dan is in chat and he broke?
No, well, Dan has broke more times than I can even count, really.
Wow. Poor Dan. Sorry, Dan.
But yeah, so just, just to throw a little bit of news out there, it's kind of serious. So
we were talking about men and women, and I had an article that said Kamala Harris, she has an act where she wants to make sure that it's something like the Equity Act. Oh, wait. No, we'll talk about that one. That's a separate one from Pelosi.
Yeah.
But basically, it's a bill to make sure that men get paid the exact same as women. Except I found a counter article that indicates Democrat presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris in California made headlines today with a plan to fine companies if they cannot prove they pay men and women equally. While the plan is, in fact, stupid. Okay. All right. But I found this article that says, Cammy baby doesn't practice what she preaches. What occurred is the Washington Free Beacon then subsequently discovered that she pays men who work in her office and on her campaign more than women.
What?
And if you can go to the Free Beacon article, it breaks it all down, the money and et cetera. And then I said after that, I have a question.
Okay.
Of everybody here, and it's the world's worst question to ask.
Yes.
But I'm going to ask it anyway because, and I'm going to give an example. You can give an example, and then anybody in chat can talk about it too. And then we're going to throw open the phone lines. I think I got somebody on the phone line right now, but I'm not going to open that up.
Phone
just
number
yet.
is 209-284-3210. Just so everyone can warm up. Put in the 209, put in the 284, put in the 321, and then wait for the question and hit the 0.
Yeah, and then once you're on, if you could hang up on yourself, and then we'd like to get somebody else on so that everybody everyone has a cookie. Has their say, and has a cookie, and has a cheeseburger.
I can has a cheeseburger.
Did you know Grumpy Cat passed away?
Yes, very sad moment.
It was a very sad moment. So the question is this. Men and women, you've worked in all male environments, probably all female environments. So where would you rather work? Would women rather work in an all female environment, or would women rather work more with men?
This day and age?
Just in general, I'm asking folks to be honest. Now, I don't want a gibberish answer. I want how you actually feel.
Right, and I want to tell you why my answer is going to be a little bit involved.
Okay.
If you asked me 5 years ago, I would say that it didn't matter. It didn't matter. With all of the lawsuits and all of the things that have come out over the last 5 years, and that one person... people are getting hung because they make a statement that wasn't even inappropriate, but it was deemed inappropriate because it was insensitive and they've lost their entire job. All this other things can still happen with a guy.
We're getting answers
But
already.
I think overall right now it would be males, and it's not because I don't think females can do a job, but to protect myself against an environment where if you look at somebody the wrong way, you can lose everything.
Okay.
And that's a hard part.
Now, today you make an excellent point. That's a very appropriate and concerning aspect today in the past 4 or 5 years or so. Let's predate that, though. Let's go back to maybe the 2000s or so. In what environment would you rather work, not taking into effect men's worry about the Me Too movement? Would you rather work in an all-female environment, or would you rather work in an all-male environment? Here's predominantly why I asked the question. I used to supervise as a sergeant for the sheriff's department. I used to work in communications. 95 to 98% of the people that were dispatchers and call takers on 911 and non-emergent lines were women.
Okay.
And then I can distinctly remember, one by one, sometimes the women would come up to me and say, can't we get more men in here? I don't like working with all these women.
I know plenty of women who've said the same thing.
So that's why I ask this damning question. And what people won't say is that, and shoot me down if you disagree, women would rather be working in a more male environment than they would a more female environment for a host of variable reasons. Not the least of which I discovered includes massive game playing and backstabbing.
Well, so I can only experience what I've experienced. So I've talked to a few women that I've worked with in the past, and women that I know personally, whatever, and they've all, with the exception of a few, agree with that sentiment. I personally don't care, but one of the things that's, I think, probably different with me is I grew up in a house with, 2 sisters and a mother. I grew up with a lot of female older cousins and spent a lot. So I don't know. I guess I'm just used to it, and it never really thought about it, but I can understand why. I can tell you, I will tell you that the ladies that I've talked to who've said why they'd prefer to work in a male environment was because of quote unquote, not even my term, cattiness, backstabbing, and all, like you said, backbiting.
Yep, game playing.
Because, and let's be honest, I laugh all the time. If a woman walks into a room with other women, she immediately feels judged. And she's single-handedly judging all the other women in there. I've seen it happen. I know it happens. I've talked to enough women that'll tell you it happens.
But damn me for asking the question, and damn you for having that answer.
But, it's really, it's just how people are. I mean, we're kind of human beings, and we judge life entirely different from a male-female perspective, I think.
Okay, so I think we got somebody on the line.
All
Line's
right.
open.
All right.
Let's see, who do we have on the 3210 line?
Good evening, BZ. This is Dan from east of the Rockies.
Okay, and that number for people east of the Rockies is 212-725-324.723.
Everyone else, it's 209-284-3210. Dan from east of the Rockies, sir. It's nice of you to be able to...
BZ, let me first say, I don't know who this feller is that you have on with you tonight.
I know.
But he has to be the biggest sexist, conspiracy theorist jerk I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
Now,
all of that's really fair. I can't even argue with that.
God, wait. This is a custom on the show. Dan, you get this. That's what you get when you make a good point in the saloon.
But here's the thing.
Dan, are you listening or are you watching on video? Just so I know.
What's that?
Are you listening via audio or watching on video? Tell the fans how you get this.
Well, if you're fixing to flip me off, I'll go over to the video just for the one finger salute, man.
Okay.
It's been a long time since you flipped me off on the air.
No, just so you know,
anyway.
it's there right now, so you can go back and watch it on Facebook or YouTube.
I know everybody in the chat's going, "Oh, we miss Dan," and Sean going back and forth. So what was that question again? No. Hey, in all seriousness, to answer your question, and my answer's kind of involved, but I'm going to make it quick because I work in an industry where very heavily pretty well of equal value. You know, in the news industry, men and women pretty equal, 50-50, depending on your newsrooms and stuff like that.
Right.
And so, and I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate with our business and our company that we've hired really good folks that we don't go through that type of nonsense, you know, the little petty stuff like that. But once again, we're in a business where we don't have time to go through that. But now, I think the question is kind of loaded in one way. I think it depends on the type of industries you're working in and different things like that. But I have to say that I'm going to say that most people that are going to call in tonight, especially with the environment that you see that's happening right now, where you know, you have men are evil incarnate if they even say hello to a woman.
That's what I said earlier.
If they even dare to open a door.
Yep.
There's still a lot of women out there that appreciate men, just like there's men out there that still appreciate women. However, you know, there's a lot of folks out there that get offended at the mere thought of a man being in the same room with them. On the same token, there's a lot of people that would be offended with a woman being in the same room with them, depending on the industry they're working in and what have you.
Yeah.
So I think in looking at different things and studies and different things that have happened, you know, over the past year with everything that's going on, you know, you're going to talk about, I think you're going to, if everybody's answering honest tonight, if they're answering honest,
yes, that's
they're
the
going
deal.
to tell you, I would rather work in a male-dominated environment, in an all-male environment, because, number one, you don't have to worry about the bullshit, okay? And then I will tell you that there's going to be a lot of women that will call in tonight and say, hey, you know what? I would prefer to work with men, with a room full of men versus the women, and here's why: because of the pettiness, the nonsense, the backstabbing, and yada yada yada, the gossiping, stuff like that. So, and I think if they're giving true, honest answers, that's what you're going to get. Both men and women would prefer to work with men,
unless they're sitting next to their wife when they call in.
Again, guys.
If they're sitting next to their wife when they call in, there may be some males who have a slightly different answer, but we'll see. Well, and it's one of those things too.
Yeah, I waited for my wife to leave the room.
Yeah, no, smart man. No, but what I had said when he first asked me the question is, in this day and age, you nailed it. I think guys are afraid that it's so quick and easy to get caught up in something, even if it's accidental or not intended or whatever. And now it's not even the person that you're talking to. It could be somebody who overhears your conversation. So if you've worked with Betty for 20 years and you walked by Betty every single day and said, hey, Betty, you look really nice today, Betty doesn't care.
Oh, June could hear that and then become,
if Cassie, just out of college, gets the cubicle next to Betty, and you walk by and say, hey, Betty, you look really nice today. Now, you know, Betty's married, you're married, maybe you guys vacation together, you're best of friends, whatever. You've known each other your whole life, whatever. But now if Cassie in the next booth over is upset because he did, that opens up that whole avenue that I think a lot of males, and they, even if they don't admit it, they're afraid to get involved in. Now, I'll tell you too, by and large, I would say 80% of women hate that goes on too.
Yes.
And that's a guess. I'm throwing that number out there. I'm just basing that off the amount of...
You're absolutely spot on, Sean. And let me tell you why. Because, now you're going to have people out there, and there might be somebody listening to that saying, hey, you assholes are belittling stuff all the bad stuff that happens to women, whether it be sexual harassment, whether it being rape, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not what we're doing. Being passed over for a job because they're female versus male, not making enough money and pay and stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about here, folks. Because we know that stuff still happens. But here's what happens: what has happened in these circumstances is, you know, men have been made to look like they're evil incarnate by a small but very, very, very vocal group. Okay, that just hate men no matter what they do. Okay, but they've been very, very vocal, and that is, of course, it makes for great sound bites, it makes for great headlines, clickbait, what have you, and so you get that perception going. But we're in what and here's coming back to what I was talking about the actual situations with women, whether it's discrimination in the workplace, whether it is sexual harassment or whatever. What happens is that draws attention away from the actual situations that are happening, the actual sexual harassment, the actual rape, the actual discrimination, this type of stuff, this type of nonsense, the type of deeming everything, if you want to call them the feminazis or whatever. Okay, but they have, because of the way they have just, a man walking down the street is evil incarnate. The way they have portrayed that and the way they continue to do that, I think it actually does more damage than good in advancing the rights for women and protecting women from male predators.
I would totally agree.
Et cetera, et cetera.
I would totally agree.
And you also have to understand there's a flip side to that, too. A lot of people do not talk about sexual harassment when it involves a man being sexual harassed, whether it's by a female or whether it's by
another male,
by a gay coworker or something like that. They don't talk about that because men also face a lot of the same problems, whether it is rape, whether it is not certainly.
You just shut Dan right off. You're gonna swap it back.
Okay. Now how do I swap
just
it?
click.
How do you guys go? How you guys doing?
Hold on. You're gonna be put on hold.
Okay. Now can I go back to that one?
Yeah, just hit that button right there.
Hit play.
Yeah.
Root problem. You're addressing symptoms instead of the actual problems.
Hey, Dan, and not to undermine what you just said, but BZ trying to put another call on hold while we were waiting, accidentally put you on hold, and then he answered the wrong call.
Wait a minute. Now, can't we? You showed me we can conference this thing.
Yeah, but then we're going to have 19 people talking like a high school chat line? I don't fucking think so.
So basically all you heard from that 2-minute rant was Sean's a jerk, right?
Yeah, no. We got that all the way.
Yeah,
it was only about 10 seconds, just so you know.
It wasn't long at all.
Well, and I just got a message in Facebook on the SHR Media Facebook page from Jenny in chat, and she said, I can't tolerate too much of either gender, which, I can understand that too.
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
But she said something too, and her reasons I won't disclose. But she said I won't be alone in a room with a male without my husband around, which I always go back to.
That's the Mike Pence theory.
I always go back to the Mike Pence theory. He will not
Let
be.
me do this real quick, guys, before I get off the line, because I know you want to get a call. And because a very opinionated woman just walked into this room, and I'm going to throw the question at her. So here's the thing. But here's the question. Would you rather work in an office full of men or full of women?
Okay, there we
Did
go.
y'all get that?
It was men. She said men.
Men any day of the week.
And there wasn't but a nanosecond's wait.
Yeah, there was
for
no
that
thought
answer.
process in that. No, like I said, it's interesting. Danny, always a pleasure, sir. Say hello to that beautiful bride of yours and give her a hug and a kiss for me.
Okay,
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, pal.
See you, sir. I think we got Kaiser up next. Kaiser, go ahead, sir.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Excellent.
Yeah, I have
5 minutes to break. So,
couple easy examples as to why I think there's a good and a bad. I'd rather work with men, honestly, but at one time when I was a military policeman and stuff like that, and also a federal cop, I'd rather have a woman to deal with women and children, just because children irritate me and I really don't like searching women. It's just one of those things, even if I got somebody witnessing.
Right.
But we had some females, and here's two different extremes. We had some females, 3 of them. This is in 0506. It was when I was contracting. We were working in Mosul, and there was one bathroom, and it was attached to the gym, and the women had like 1 hour of shower and bath time. Okay, but the op tempo was super heavy, and they had to do it like between 07 and 08.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
You there?
Yep. No, we're there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, anyways, what ended up happening is we may get off at like midnight, and everybody's going to be sleeping through. The females actually started doing it themselves. They just came in and would be showering with us, right? And it was just weird, but none of us cared. We weren't looking at their girlies and all that stuff.
You just wanted a shower.
We just wanted to get a shower and get to bed. Honestly,
Right.
we were exhausted. But then, this coming back to the real world and working for the government for my last time, we were all talking one night. We were going to go out to a bar. It's a biker bar. And this one girl, trying to fit in or whatever, comes up and goes, well, why didn't you ask me? And I was like, well, you wouldn't feel comfortable there. And she's like, why? I said, I tried to be quiet, and I'm like, real quietly, I go, look, the girls in there aren't like you are. They're going to get wild, and this is just what they do. They may lift their tops up, whatever. I was called in front of HR that Monday.
I don't
because
doubt
I
that.
said something sexual.
Yep.
And I was just like, it's a bunch of honestly, it's with, and she was a younger girl. It's got to do with their acculturation, the way they've been taught that they're all special princesses in Disney, and the way Hollywood has screwed everything up, and the colleges.
Well,
I can't forget academia.
And I'll take the trade-off to that, Kaiser. Had you said nothing, and it was, quote-unquote, an unsanctioned work event, which there have been numerous lawsuits in which unsanctioned work events, activities, can be dealt with in the workplace, and she had gone and something inappropriate had happened, the same thing could have transpired just from a different path. And I appreciate it. We're 2 minutes from the break.
Cool.
Thanks, buddy. And it's hard, too. You as well. And it's hard, too, because like I said, I will be the first to admit there are jobs that women are way better at than guys. First and foremost, I go back to the doctor thing. And hear me out on this, why I think females make better doctors. A female's attention to detail will always be better than a male's, in my opinion. In my experience in life, in my opinion. And maybe that's just me because mine sucks. But
you're going to make me out me too then.
And every guy in here is kind of shaking his head a little bit.
Fuck yeah.
There are certain things I'm good at, and I'll pay it. I don't, my attention to detail is natural. But I think when it comes to like, hey, who's going to cut open my brain? I definitely would prefer a woman because women, and it's funny too.
Wait a minute. What gets extracted?
Everything. I have a minute left, I know. And I've done this the few times I've taught females how to shoot. And this is a great example of where women are different. I've taught males and I've taught females how to shoot. Males will go to the range. It doesn't matter if they've never held a gun, never saw a bullet, never done anything. They automatically have a machismo of assumption that they know a little bit enough about what they're doing that you're undoing bad habits that they didn't even know they had because they've watched so many movies and the guys just think that way. Like, I've seen this done, so I can do it. Whereas females will absolutely follow everything you tell them to do because they go into it with a situation of, I've never done this before. He's teaching me and I'm going to learn from him. And therefore I'm going to do exactly as he says. And I'm okay with that. And guys are not like that. So when I tell you the difference in reality versus the difference in the way life is right now, it's sad that we have to have these conversations. I know we're on the break.
So we're going to go on the break. Dave, by the way, Dave's on hold. So Dave, if you want to hold, keep on holding there. We'll get you after the break, and then after the break,
there's other people too.
Yeah,
right?
We got other people calling in.
Okay.
So anyway, can't take any calls on the break. Hang on, we will get to you. I got Dave first.
Don't hang up.
So don't hang up.
Everyone else, though, if you want to jump in, 209-284-3210, feel free to call until we answer. And we'll just go right down the board. 209-284-3210.
We will get to you, and we'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yep. shrmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know, I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's the second hour. The first hour went quick like a bunny. It disappeared. It went away. This is the Sackheads Against Tyranny, the Shat Show. I'm Sackheads BZ. That is not Sackheads Clint over there, who did not call in tonight.
Yeah, he's the only one who didn't call.
Yeah, so we got lots of people calling in because I asked the question. I said, men, women, in which environment would you rather work? Would you rather work in a mostly all-female environment or a mostly all-male environment? And we've had a lot of people call in. So now, let's see. We've got...
if you want to jump in queue, 209-284-3210.
And I think this is Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, guys.
Good evening.
Very simply, yeah. Good evening to you guys. Yeah. Very simply, all men, more work, less BS. Dan, you stole my line, dude. I've worked in factories, on construction sites, and in offices, and I can tell you that for the most part, and yeah, we'll play around a bit, after work and at breaks and whatnots, but for the most part, men, when they get on a job, they just want to do the job and go home. We're very focused on that. We're not focused on office politics, whatever it is. So yeah, that's basically my two centagos worth.
Well, Dave, and you brought up a good point though, and I don't want you to run off just yet, because I was just telling BZ that I read a study a couple years ago that said how males and females address pack of the same sex, and it was done that males will walk into a room, assess everybody, and then decide where they fall in the pack. And decide, they know right away if they're going to be the alpha in that group, and they know right away what the pecking order is going to be.
Boy, is that ever true. And I got a
they
story about that when you're done.
Holy
moly.
They don't say anything about it. They don't discuss it. They don't assume it. They don't even test. And that's the other thing, too, as I said, males won't test the alpha until there's, just like regular animals, until there's a reason to. They see a kink in the armor, the weakness, right? Whereas females want to fight for the alpha female position, and they will do so because that is their DNA, and that's how their DNA works, is they will fight to prove that they're the alpha. Some of them will do it through hard work and determination. Others will do it by testing who they deem to be the alpha and see what the response is.
Game playing.
And sometimes game playing,
yes.
right?
God, yeah.
And it was in that study that said that. And the study was clear to say it doesn't mean that men or females are better or worse at anything. It's just how they figure out how they fit in is entirely different.
Boy, is that ever the truth.
It's socialization. It's how we each approach problems. Men and women are different. No, one is not better than the other. Yeah. It's just how we approach situations. You're talking about picking the alpha. Well, and yeah, the only time guys will challenge an alpha or whatever, or even try and figure out who the alpha is, will be if there's a reason to. Otherwise, we don't care.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other funny part too, is and that
immediately
the study I'd read said that males don't mind being the quote unquote beta if they feel like the alpha is an appropriate alpha for
good leader.
Yes, they understand it. They recognize it. Hey, this guy's got it going on. He knows what's up and down. He's a good person to follow, and maybe I'll learn something. Whatever. And females don't approach it the same way. They feel like, well, if she leads us in the wrong direction, that's their first concern, is what they're doing. And it's how they analyze quite differently than males. So I appreciate the call, Dave. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dave.
Take care, guys. God bless.
You as well, buddy.
Take care. I got a question.
Most pleasant blind guy I've ever met.
Well, they say he's unpleasant, but
most pleasant blind guy.
He is blind, but you're right. I find him to be quite pleasant.
Yes.
My story is, can you imagine, after having worked for 41 years in law enforcement, I have been to numerous schools, conferences, get-togethers, etc., where you've got all sorts of different folks from outside agencies coming in a big room at a bunch of round tables or square tables or rectangular tables, and in the first 5 minutes of the official part of that classroom, even as you're coming in, setting down your books, guaranteed, every guy in that room is looking at the other guys to figure out where you place and who you think the alpha male or now the alpha female is going to be. And that becomes revealed in the first 10 or 15 minutes when the responses start to come in from whoever is presenting the class.
Well, and here's the other thing too that males do, and I don't know how this falls with females, but I've seen this myself. You can have a person who is designated as leader. This is the leader of this group. This guy is in charge. And if the other males feel like somebody else is a better leader, they'll they'll kind of respect that guy a little bit, but they'll always look to that other guy as like, hey, he said we should do this. Should we? And that's always not always a good thing, because it put for a litany of reasons in chain of command. But guys will do that. They'll be like, all right, well, the guy with the badge, the guy with the stripes says to do this, but the guy who's been here and his stripes are scars, what does he say?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I know you get another call.
And that's an interesting observation, because it's been true, and that's also why you sit down and examine all the people that are in that particular room, class, conference, etc.
Yes.
And with the first opening of the mouth, you have a general idea of who's cool
and who's
who's probably going to be a leader. And folks, you've all been there going to classes. You know instantly the first couple of things. Who's going to be the dipshit of the class?
Yep.
Who's going to be the one that talks about
usually the
nothing?
Yep.
And just to hear themselves talk, and who says little, but when they speak,
says a lot.
They say, yeah, that's the person that I really want to hear from. It seems to me that they have the experience that I'm seeking.
And who's the windbag class clown?
Well, yeah, there'll always be one of those.
That's
okay, unknown caller, you are on. Go ahead next.
This is Mike.
Hey.
Hey, BZ and Sean. As I recall, and you're talking about this whole thing with women and women in the workplace. First off, as I recall, I once worked at this Burger King down here, and there were times when it was me and a whole bunch of women work in the back there, and you could feel it. Yeah, we were all going for a possible shot at a manager. At a managership, but you could feel the animosity between the women,
Yeah. Well, and I've experienced that as well. And I've been not up for a position, but I've seen a group who has been, and, even how they deal with it after the fact is very much different. Where I know for a fact the vast majority of guys, if they don't get it, they just like, well, that sucks, and walk away. But I'll tell you right now, though, I've also seen with age differences, a younger generation now, when they don't get it, they get really petty, even males and females. I know with my generation, for the most part, people didn't get a promotion. They were like, well, that sucked, but that guy got a promotion. Now, they may bitch about why that person got a promotion, but it was accepted by and large. Like, yeah, he got it because, he was...
I got to fight for it next time.
Right, but he was better friends with Bill, so now maybe I have to... But they take that into the equation, but they kind of walk away and suck it up. Whereas I will tell you right now, with a lot of millennials, and as somebody who has promoted numerous millennials over the last 10 years and not promoted numerous millennials, I have seen the almost petty, like, well, I'm going to try to screw that guy so it looks like he is really bad at what he does in order to make everybody else think that the wrong decision was made versus I'm going to do things better. And I think that has become a generational thing now versus a male-female thing.
And frankly, guys, I call her Kamala Harris because every time I see her name, it reminds me of the old professional wrestler, Kamala, the Ugandan warrior, but that's neither here nor there. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Congress's base salary, when they first get into office, minus all the corruption costs,
right?
The base salary is essentially the same, right?
Yes.
So Kamala Harris advocating for same work and same pay for same work or whatever, kind of has the ring of hypocrisy because she's already got the same pay for the same work.
Look, anything, and I brought this up at the break, and I appreciate the call, Mike. I really do. I brought this up at the break. When you look, this whole conversation was started by the Democrats in the field. That's what we started talking about, is the field of Democrats that's coming into this election. And you now look at all the Democrats, what's there, 26 of them, I think now, or 25, I've lost count. you never hear any of them talking about solving actual problems that are facing the federal government and the country as a whole at this point.
Remember, thank God I reminded you about that?
Yes, thank God. You never hear them talking about, well, the trade war with China. You hear senators, you hear representatives talk about it, but you never hear these candidates talking about that at the forefront. Or what are we going to do about infrastructure? Or, the issue with Iran? Or how do we deal with Russia? Anytime you hear about Russia, it's just that, they're going to steal the election again for Trump. But you don't hear actual quality substance coming out of them for the most part. It's all this equality baiting that I call it.
Well, and
where it's, okay, well, women aren't being paid enough. We still have issues between races.
They're all deflected answers.
This group is being disrespected, so we have to do something as a whole. And they guise it under wanting to do things for the people. But, we've seen time and again, and I know we have, and you have to understand this, social issues work themselves out for the most part amongst society. People eventually say, you're right, you know what, maybe we've been doing this wrong for all these years and we need to do something about that. Now, does that mean that there hasn't been appropriate legislation in place in the past that has actually made progress? Yes. But if your first step is immediately to just turn around and talk about how you want to change laws to lift this group up or push this group down, which, by the way, more often than not, what we do is instead of lifting a group up, we're pushing another group down in this country. That seems to be our go-to for solving any sort of pay equality or anything else. It's never, well, what can we do to train our younger people to be better ready to enter the workplace? It's never like, hey, instead of pushing everyone towards college, why don't we push them through trade or push them towards trade or push them towards the military? It's always like, well, those rich people have all the money and these poor kids coming out of college with their degree in underwater basket weaving can't find a job because they're rich and white. No. You need to have the discussion about getting our youth ready to enter the workforce with a degree. And by the way, if I was running tomorrow and if I had the ability, I would recommend a law that says if you want a federal student loan, you can only attain one within these parameters. It has to be a job that is a readily available job. You can pick a statistic or a number, 25% of the population does it. So it's a readily available job. It can't be 0.0000001 of the workforce because you are an astronomer for space chipmunks, and that's what you specialized in at the University of Southern California, where there's no jobs for it, but you still did it anyways. Those are the sort of things that I think need to be changed with why we load money. Hey, what's your degree in? Oh, it's in business and I have a minor in communications. Okay, you can do something with that. Or, it's in pre-medical or it's in physical therapy or it's in construction or whatever. Okay, but once you start getting into all of these ridiculous classes that, by the way, colleges are adding degrees because people will buy them. They're not adding degrees because they were required?
Or because they'll particularly yield a better American.
Yeah.
No, it's because...
If you're going to borrow...
The government owns the tuition factory.
If you're going to borrow money, $80,000, and you're going to borrow that money to study current Latin speech patterns or something of the sort where nobody speaks Latin anymore, we're going to say no. And that's part of the problem, too. And I know I went off on a rant because I started talking about generations and all the other stuff, but I think that's what portrays into a lot of what we're discussing here, too. We brought up, the younger female entering the workforce sees things a lot different than the female who's been there for a while and how they may react different and why, it can cause problems. But part of that is generational. I think somebody else brought it up, too. Is
a great deal of it.
Yeah,
is generational.
They're being raised by universities and schools now that, hey, you know what? You can never be offended. If you're offended, then somebody needs to be held accountable. You can be anything you want to be. I hate that statement.
No, you can't.
I wanted to be, and I'm still in this line, but it's very, very true.
I can have it all.
I wanted to be the starting center fielder for the Boston Red Sox. To quote Dennis Leary, life sucks, get a fucking helmet. you sometimes have to pick a more realistic approach about what you want to do.
I wanted to be an NBA player. Sarah Sanders told me, you suck.
You suck. And a lot of that has to do with that you are vertically challenged, and it's not so much your jump.
I'm in shape. Round is a shape. And I want to go back to the Kamala Harris thing because I want to make a couple of points. We got about 8 minutes before the bottom of the hour break. This is again from the Washington Free Beacon. So it analyzed pay for those who received paychecks for the entirety of the pay periods. They discovered that the men made more money. And this is a quote. In Kamala Harris's Senate office, most recent 6-month disclosure covering, the period from April 1st, 18 through September 31st, 18, the median male salary disbursement was $34,999, and the median female salary disbursement was $32,999, leaving women with just 94 cents of every dollar paid to men. This is the problem with leftists. You're all a bunch of fucking hypocrites.
Yes.
And people call you on it. They know this. If you walk the walk and talk the talk, that's a different issue entirely. Then I found this article. Now I'm going to go back to White Mamba. Mamba in chat said, I was at a group earlier today where a lady said that she's seen studies where the happiest women are those with great husbands and a significant family interest, mothering, nurturing duties. Here's the article. Right here, I found it. Readers slam New York Times op-ed saying that the happiest wives in America are religious conservatives. That is heresy to say that. It's probably true, and here are the studies to prove it. That's according to a New York a study written in a New York Times op-ed piece. The report from the Institute for Family Students was titled The Ties That Bind Is Faith a Global Force for Good of Ill in the Family. It was conducted by 7 professors, a University of Virginia professor of sociology, and a Georgetown University professor of marriage who found that, quote, highly religious couples enjoy higher quality relationships and more sexual satisfaction than their progressive counterparts. To me, that's intuitive. Now, this is an observation made in passing, but let's just use social media. Or any media. Or just walking around.
Or anti-social media.
Yeah. People that you know that lean left, how frequently are they super happy people in general?
And that I'll tell you negative.
That is not true. The happiest people...
They're always angry about something.
Yes. The happiest people that you find these days are folks that are generally conservative.
Yes.
And or have religious values, or both, or have families, or have kids, even though kids are a massive stressor.
Or I will say, and I will throw this in too, non-political people are usually pretty happy one way or the other.
Yeah, okay. Non-political people. Yes, that's another good point.
And I respect them a lot for that because that's a really hard way to go through life, but they do. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean to avoid it one way or the other is actually really difficult in a day and age where it's constantly thrown in your face.
It's bombardments.
And I will say non-religious people, and that doesn't mean they're either agnostic or against religion or anything like that. They just don't overtly discuss it or act, I think are too, because I think a lot of those people, I know a lot of them too, and I think with me it's the same thing. It's like, look, I know what my idea of religion is. I believe in God, and everything else is nobody else's business. The rest of that I keep inside me. And I think people like that are happy. So it's a level of religiousness, yes, but it's not an overt level of religiousness. But I think people like that are usually pretty happy too, because then they don't discuss with any of those other idiots religion.
Let me ask you, Sean, What do you think is a standard reaction to someone on the left from a study like that?
Oh, it would be horrible.
Okay, so some of the examples were critics that said conservative wives were literally brainwashed, and they were told to say that they were happy. So let me throw that out to you women that are listening to the show. What did we say? We have 5?
Four or five
that are listening. Okay, you're abject morons if you think that, oh, okay, I kind of agree with that. You're brainwashed. You can't think for yourself. And obviously some man somewhere in your life told you what to say. There's another quote. People dumb enough to blindly follow a religion are happy because they don't know any better. So any person that happens to be Muslim or Jewish or Christian,
Buddhist,
Buddhists,
Taoists,
you're
flying spaghetti monster.
Yeah, you're blindly following a religion, and well, you're just too stupid to know better,
right?
Because leftists know better than you do.
And here's the other thing too: is part of the thing with, I think that study where you talk about married couples or whatever. I think that or couples in general. I think that couples that, how do I put this way? I think couples that kind of have a better grasp of reality will be happier. And I know like that sounds shitty, but to go with what you said, left knows better, right? I think people who break free of that thought, and there are some Democrats who break free of that thought. I know a handful of Democrats who are left of center, but not this extreme leftism that's out there right now. And they know where they stand. They know where reality is, and they're happy together. And I know a couple specifically that's like that. Really, really happy together. They're religious to a point, like all that other stuff. But if anybody ever walked in and said, hey, you're a moron because you're religious, they would both snap and lose their mind. Because it is an insult. It's an insult to fabric of people. Look, I've said it all the time, and I've said it again. If you walk this planet and you see people like Joe Biden and other idiots who are the leadership of of masses and millions of people of a specific religious group, and you say, "Oh, we must be the highest power in the entire world," then I think you are ignorant and naive. And I had this discussion. My son brought this up the other day, and I know we have 2 minutes, so I'll try to bang it out in 2 minutes. My son had a discussion in school because he said, we're learning about the Big Bang Theory.
Not the TV show.
Right. Does that mean that there's no God? And I said, no. I said that both can exist. You can have science and you can have religion.
Exactly.
Because for me, and I've always felt this way, is first and foremost, the Bible was written by human beings. So it was written through observations, and that doesn't mean that it's all 100% accurate, and it also doesn't mean that the writings of 2018 years ago or beyond are necessarily translated to what we understand it today. There can be some lost in translation aspects. And I say this all the time. When it comes down to the Big Bang Theory, you can say the Big Bang Theory happened, and I'll tell you that I believe that God made it happen.
See, that's the point. That's why religion and science don't have to be in conflict. And on this, though you and I differ in a lot of degrees on a number of topics, I completely agree with you on this. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yep, absolutely.
These things can already have happened. And the reason I say that, and the reason I'm heartened by hearing what you said, is that we know man is flawed.
Yes.
And so who wrote the book?
Have you ever seen me type?
The Gospels, according to, X, Y, and Z, and a number of other people, and also the Council of Nicaea determined which books would go into the Bible. What was the Council of Nicaea? Yeah. Staffed by people.
Yep.
Staffed by humans who are not inviolate, who are not God, and they didn't include everything, and there are lots of books that we don't know about that didn't get included into the Bible.
And as Dave said in the chat room right now, and God said, let there be light, I think that backs up the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, absolutely. And I could go on how evolution, even though I believe that we've evolved, it doesn't mean that we weren't allowed to evolve or we weren't designed to evolve.
No, and that
you still have a first human being, and it could very well be Adam and Eve. Once you've crossed from the evolution point that you're actually humans, well, then the first two exist. You still had first two human beings. The assumption, because they don't understand the science 2,000 and X number of years ago, may not understand how the evolution happened, but that doesn't mean the evolution didn't happen.
Here's the easiest answer in the world to what an atheist or a nihilist or an anarchist or a leftist would pose to you.
Yes.
Is, well, according to your stupid religion, why is there murder in the world? Very simple.
Man is flawed.
Well, yes, man is flawed. And number two, God gave man free will.
Yep.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, This is the final 25 minutes of the Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny. I'm Sackheads BZ. Over there is Sackheads Sean. Conspicuously absent was Sackheads Clint, who swore that he was going to call in tonight.
I swear to God!
Yeah, and he specifically told me...
He turned his nose up at us.
I know.
Knocked an airplane out of the sky, but he turned his nose up at us.
I know. And he shut down radars over Alaska by doing that. I don't understand how that happened.
Now the Russians will be able to make the coast. We didn't even talk about that.
Oh, that's right. If he sticks his nose up in the air, then it's like Bemuse goes down. The ballistic missile early warning system somehow manages to crash. I have a very serious article that I think we should talk about. We can talk about it briefly. There's so much other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, there is. And you know, as we're discussing all of this and all that good jazz, I do want to touch on a couple of subjects. I know we've had a really good run with this topic, and it's a great topic, and I think it deserves a lot of time. But, you know, did you see the fact that 4 Russian bombers and 2 Russian jets were intercepted off the coast of Alaska on Monday?
No, but I also saw that there were, this was probably 2 weeks ago, there was a Tupolev Tu-144 that was allowed to fly.
That's been going on for years.
Over American airspace, and that's been going on for quite some time.
It was flying out of right down the road down here.
Because of the various treaties that we have with the Russians. So that stuff is not so unusual. But what happened up in Alaska?
4 nuclear capables, and I'm reading this one from Fox News, but it's all over the place. I just found it was the quickest one. 4 nuclear capable Russian bombers and 2 Russian jets were intercepted off the west coast of Alaska, according to NORAD. The early warning system identified 4 Tupolev Tu-95 bombers and 2 Su-35 fighters entering the Alaskan Defense Identification Zone, and noted that the Russian aircraft never entered American or Canadian airspace. Officially, the statement said the 2 bombers were initially intercepted by 1 pair of F-22s, and another pair of F-22s intercepted the other 2 bombers and the Su-35s later on. Russian military defense said on Tuesday that the U.S. planes accompanied the Russian aircraft along their routes. Agency also said that planes were scheduled to make sorties over neutral waters of the, I'm screwing this one up, Chukotka, Bering, and the Okhotsk Sea. Sorry, everybody.
The Hawkeye Sea. We didn't know that an Avenger had his own sea.
Yes.
That's really cool.
But they were intercepted by NORAD. So it's been a while since that's happened. Amazingly, what was it, just last week, Mike Pompeo essentially said to Vlad's face, stay out of our elections, when he met with Putin. And then we have an incursion. The last time that I recall, if anyone else has this, maybe I'm wrong, the last time we had anything like this was the Russian bombers near Guam, when we were dealing with North Korea and the North Korean threat, and Trump pointed the finger at Putin as being one of the countries that was supporting North Korea with resources. So it's amazing how Vlad goes full old Russian, full Soviet Union. Whenever somebody points a finger, he's going to show his might and his muscle, and they were intercepted by 22. So I just thought that was interesting because I haven't gotten much news play out of that, and I know it's because it wasn't Russian collusion. It was Russian incursion, which honestly is a bigger issue at this point. But I digress.
Here's an article from Yahoo News, and I'm bringing this article to the forefront because, number one, it's happening in California, and as much as everyone here would hate to say it, the truth is that California and its thoughts, processes, etc., eventually flood and infect
the
rest
petri dish
of the United States, which is why I call it fornicalia, or if I spell it California, I spell it with a K, is because California, fornicalia, screws or fornicates with every other state. So when I go over this article, you may easily dismiss it by saying, well, that's just California.
But understand how many liberal ideas have started here.
How this crap spreads.
That's why I call it the liberal petri dish.
It may be coming to a theater near you. And then I'm going to bring up another issue after this story, and you'll begin to understand why both are being pushed at this time. This is from Yahoo News. It says fatal police shootings could become a crime under proposed California law. A showdown over when police can use deadly force is set to unfold in the California legislature next week, which could result in sweeping changes to law enforcement departments that give officers broad latitude in deciding when to shoot to kill. AB 392, known as the California Act to Save Lives, which would put the onus on officers to justify discharging their weapons, shifting the standard from reasonable, which is previously defined by the Supreme Court's Graham versus Connor ruling in 1989.
And every citizen has that right, by the way.
Yes, to necessary. So basically, the question is,
they have
the
to prove.
standard now is it reasonable for this officer or other officers like him or her under the same or a similar fact pattern to react in that fashion? Now it's going to be changed from reasonable to necessary. Was it absolutely necessary for that officer to do what he or she did? That means basically that under that proposal, that bill, police have to feel absolutely 100% confident that it was necessary and required to shoot to protect themselves from danger, or they could be prosecuted for killing someone.
Well, and you also have to go through, let's talk about further down the road, the first case being litigated. It will become incumbent upon that officer to prove that if he did not kill that person right then and there, not just explain why, not just deemed reasonable, like, all right, well, if I didn't shoot this guy, the odds were he was going to kill me. No. It will end up being that if I didn't shoot this guy, I can prove that he was going to kill his wife immediately afterwards, or he was going to walk into the house and kill the family, or he was going to kill me. And here's my proof and evidence, which officers going to that call don't have. They have a split second to make that decision. They will be afforded less rights than the average citizen.
That is absolutely
They will no
correct.
longer be the same rights as an average citizen. And what it will change is the ability to prosecute and fire. I would guess that maybe it would probably change 2 shootings over the last 10 years in the state, maybe. And that's it. But
what you're talking about, though, is called an index case.
Yes.
And if this bill passes, there will be an index case.
It has to be.
And with that case, the rest of everything that occurs in California will fall into line following that. And, it'll probably go to the...
But what did I bring up?
It'll probably end up in SCOTUS, or at least California Supreme Court. And then if they don't get what they want...
SCOTUS.
If they don't get what they want in the California, then they'll go federal, appellate, 9th, SCOTUS.
I have a feeling that if they pass this law to eventually make it to SCOTUS and get kicked back and say that this is an unconstitutional law, because they're human beings, they're United States citizens, you can't afford them less rights. And the right to self-defense is protected by the U.S. Constitution and cannot be subversed by a state constitution. Just a guess.
Okay. Let me continue with the article. Let me read what it wrote, and then let me pose a question, because the first phrase that comes to my mind out of this is chilling effect, and we have to look further. Leftist Democrats and the American media maggots couldn't give one shit less about consequences, intended or unintended. They view things in a vacuum, a complete and total vacuum. The article continues. Instead of reaching for their guns, officers would be pressed to engage in de-escalation tactics. Right, you can de-escalate somebody that's got a gun and they're firing at you. Yeah, that aim to reduce tension between officer and suspect. Experts said these include listening to the suspect's story, explaining the actions an officer is about to take, and ensuring that I shit thee not, and ensuring that the suspect's dignity
is upheld,
is preserved throughout the interaction.
I call that the Stephon Clark case, because that was one of the biggest things, is they felt that it was indignant.
And that's what this is from.
Well, and so
guaranteed.
A couple different things about that, and it just makes me laugh that they would put that sort of language in. Number one, obviously, the whole suspect's dignity. It's funny how we're worried about the dignity of a person who's a threat to an officer or society. Their dignity is more important. De-escalation. First and foremost, I know in California, verbal de-escalation is now 2 or 3 weeks out of the academy, out of 26 now. They get into that, and if it's probably more. And then in-service training.
And then in-service traiing, you have that in
You've added
AOT.
mental health training into their the activities that officers go through, specific how to deal with emotionally upset people. That was outside and on top of the academy training. You have all of these different things, which I've said before. They've overloaded law enforcement in this state so much that all it's going to cause them to do is freeze and not respond when it's time. Here is going to be the ultimate side effect. And I was talking about this with a current police officer just 2 days ago.
Okay, you're bigfooting what I was going to say, but that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. You take it.
Current side effect. Good luck getting a cop in this state.
That was where I was going. It's to the point now where many people on these departments in California are telling their sons and their daughters, stay the hell out of law enforcement because this is your future. And the future includes this. This new bill would make the preservation of life law enforcement's top priority in California, said Stoughton, who wrote letters to California lawmakers in support of the bill. Having the state, this is the crux of the biscuit. Having the state legislature tell police officers, this is the job we expect you to do, is an important piece of symbolism.
Yep.
This is symbolism.
Well, and if I can, their ultimate dream is to have every cop on the street unarmed, except for, like they do in London, you have specialty units that carry weapons and are 10, 12 minutes away when you actually need one. Now, that's their ultimate dream. And that way, the police are more nicer, friendly. Maybe we'll put them in a bright purple uniform so they're more appealing to the eye.
You could do what SFPD did in the 70s. You can install cops in white doors and powder blue. SFPD went to a powder blue
friendly
car that didn't say police. It said police services.
Yep. No, that's one of, make it as soft and friendly as possible so these people who keep getting offended by the police showing up in their neighborhood and arresting people who need to be arrested ends. Now, we already talked about the first side effect of you're going to have people not be cops in the state. And it's going to happen.
People would be guaranteed. Leftists are applauding that.
Well, and you will have the people you will have that will take that job. You will not want doing that job, which is even more sad. Now, the other thing, too, is when I talked about the Democratic candidates earlier in the show, what did I say? They're not tackling issues that are really issues. They're talking about equality. They're trying to get people emotionally charged. They're dealing with emotional issues and not factual and literal issues, things that we need done, infrastructure, border security, all these other things. They're going after emotional inequality. What is this bill? This is an emotional bill about inequality, how people are getting killed unnecessarily by law enforcement and it destroys the community. Well, hey, how come the guy walking down the street with the gun or potentially with the gun, how come he's Johnny on the fucking spot and the guy or gal wearing the badge that's coming around the corner is the asshole? When the fuck did society get so goddamn upside fucking down? Oh, you should talk to him, de-escalate him. How about the fact that he doesn't have the gun? Where are his fucking parents saying, hey, don't carry a gun and point it at a cop, or don't run from the police, even if you did something wrong. And if you didn't do anything wrong, especially don't run from the fucking police. And if you're told to stop, you fucking stop, and we'll deal with it afterwards. We'll sue them if they fuck up. Cops fuck up. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. But where are the fucking parents teaching them how to be human goddamn beings? Why isn't there fucking legislation for that in this fucking fucked up state?
And don't think it's California, folks. No, it ain't just California. It's New York. It's Illinois. It's New Jersey. Any leftist state that Colorado, etc., etc., etc. It's piling on, and it's going to have some very serious consequences. Now, here's the part B to the story that I want everybody to think about. Simultaneously, while this is going on, actually 2 points further. Simultaneously, while this is going on, we know that various leftist law enforcement agencies, police departments, not sheriff's departments, because police chiefs are appointed, not elected. So I'm making the clear distinction between a police department and a sheriff's department throughout the nation. Chiefs in police departments and officers in various police departments have stood down, and we know this for a fact that the orders were given in Berkeley by the mayor, the chief of police, and the UCD police chief to stand down as violence was being witnessed by law enforcement officers who did what they were told because they don't have a sack between them. In the riots that were occurring in Berkeley, I said all you need is one good sergeant to disregard that order and take 12 troops who would rally around that particular sergeant and wade in. Once you had that step being made, because violence was being witnessed 1 block away, and you have officers
Also
that are
happened
doing
in San Jose,
that are doing nothing watching this. This is the most disgusting, dishonorable thing that I can think of that an officer cannot do, and that is to discharge his or her duty. If you had one good sergeant go in there, the rest of the dickweeds that were standing, they would fall in line and go right in. All they're looking is for one person to be a leader and to take a stand.
Like I said earlier, the alpha. And it also happened in San Jose during the Trump rally a year earlier.
It happened here in Sacramento.
Yes, and it's sad and pathetic. But here's what happens is the left, the Democrats, the progressive lunatics, they don't want anyone held accountable for their actions, because at the end of the day, if that person is held accountable for their actions and they turn to that politician and say, how come I got held accountable for that action? The politician says, because you fucked up. As a group, as an individual, whatever, then that person's not going to vote for them.
That's right, because you can't have they want a consequence-free society, but such an animal simply doesn't exist. Let me go. I'm gonna go one further step. This is where I wanted to go. As cops are being told to stand down, and unfortunately, altogether too many are obeying their masters,
they're afraid,
and dishonoring the oath they took.
Because the oath isn't important, the paycheck is.
Yeah. As that happens, and or various laws proscribed against certain actions by cops will result in what you say, fewer cops doing the right thing, and a bunch of numbskulls instead taking their place. That's further on down the road. While that's all happening, the other thing that's occurring in the state of California and other leftist bastions all across the fruited plain is a concerted effort to make sure that you are fucking defenseless.
Yes.
That they remove your Second Amendment, disarm you, and then, well, your benevolent government is supposed to protect you, except your benevolent fucking government doesn't protect you, and we have evidence of this on video. So if the government doesn't protect me and the government wants to disarm me, eventually people are going to begin to ask the question, then who's going to defend me?
Right.
Will this be nothing but total anarchy? Evil exists. Bad people exist. Some people exist on this planet only to have a gun placed to their heads and their brains splattered against the wall because they're fucking evil.
Well, and let me ask you this in that question, who's going to defend me? I could very well see in the state of California, at some point you disarm all the local law enforcement, and the only armed enforcement would be, say, Cal DOJ, a state level, who has now moved into more of a patrol factor. There's thousands of them, top of the state, bottom of the state, that is run by Sacramento. But not like CHP, where it's run office to office to office to office to office, run out of Sacramento, and they're going to be the only ones allowed to have guns. Why? Because the state, the government, it wants guns and nobody else to have them.
It really does make me wonder if there isn't a Kurt Schlichter fiction novel scenario unfolding before our very eyes, which is, in his 3 novels that he's written, the United States splits red and blue. There are blue states and there are red states. Most of the blue states are on the coast in leftist bastions, etc., and they're falling apart in his novels.
Right.
And the red states essentially are doing it right, and they occasionally fire shots at each other. Well, let's take this further. Do we see in our future some kind of insurrection?
No. So this is
because
there's 4 minutes left in the show. You can't drop that down.
I'm going to say that. Well, let me ask this question to you, Sean. When will leftists stop pushing? Because it will be a matter of leftists stopping the push.
So here's the funny part is,
will they?
And I want to say this, and I've thought this for a few years now, and I don't know if I've ever said it on the show. When we talk about states seceding from the Union, and we talk about like California splitting up and all this other stuff, we always talk about the more conservative states, Texas, Louisiana, that want to secede because under the Obama administration they felt that we were losing too many rights, they were losing their individual statehood, whatever. I could see California, and they would have the voting numbers to do it. 7th largest economy in the world. I could see California trying to secede from the Union as a state to make their own leftist totalitarian paradise. And then they don't have to deal with that stupid Supreme Court. They don't have to deal with that goddamn executive branch in Washington.
I could see that.
They don't have to lose a lawsuit on a local level and have it work all the way up to the Supreme Court, especially now when you're going to have a more conservative Supreme Court for, 20 years? They don't have to deal with that. They can have their own. They can make it their way.
Here's the inherent problem with that is people vote two ways. They vote at the ballot box and they vote with their feet.
Yep.
We see people voting with their feet in California, which is why the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer in California. When my wife retires, I make no mistake, I am getting the fuck out of California.
And
I was born here. I left this state. I love this state. Loved this state. It's a beautiful state, but it is being mismanaged by leftists whose only job exists to turn you upside down and fleece you for every fucking dime.
It's not even a beautiful state anymore. You go down into L.A. You go out into the forest, but even the forests now
are burned because of forest mismanagement.
Right.
Global warming bullshit in the forest.
It's forest mismanagement. You go into the cities that used to be beautiful cities. The first time I ever went to San Francisco, it was a city. It's dirty like a city, but it had its charm.
Yes.
You could walk around. You could see the history. You could feel the history. It was enjoyable. Now, it's a cesspool. L.A., cesspool.
Sacramento, cesspool.
And it's getting worse and worse. California used to be a beautiful state, and the Democrats have destroyed it.
Let me ask you this, folks, before we go. We're going to be playing the music here in a second. There's a current case in the city of Sacramento where officers were responding to a 12-year-old. I don't even remember the nature
14.
of the call. Was it 14?
Yep.
And the kid started spitting at the officers.
Yep.
Current state of the art is when you're getting spit at, you place a spit guard over the face of whoever is doing the spitting.
Yep.
The spit guard is a mesh.
14-year-old male.
And now the city of Sacramento is going to be sued. The people are rallying around this poor child over whose face a spit guard was being placed.
Where were the parents?
The most disgusting thing that ever occurred to me is not when I was cut by a knife or not when I was shot at. The most disgusting thing that ever occurred to me is when I was spit
on
at.
Yep.
But this is where the state of California is going.
And that's where they want it to go.
And on that note, we're going to have to leave.
I always wish I had a piece of straw in my mouth for this out.
I know. Hey, tomorrow night on the in the saloon, I'm going to have Pastor Shannon Wright on the show.
Mayoral candidate.
Because she is running for mayor for the city of Baltimore. And I want to talk to her about that. So don't miss the saloon tomorrow night. And then in the second hour, I'm having an SHR Media special report. The GWIC, all about the GWIC. What is the GWIC? Oh, that's right. It's the global warming industrial complex. Don't miss that tomorrow. So for Sackheads Clint, who wasn't here, and for Sackheads BZ, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And thanks for calling in, folks. We'll do this again. See ya.